So we begin with chapter 2, statics of particles. Particles. We introduced that last time. It is this one in Chinese. So we at the high school, I think you have learned that force is a vector. Vector is this one. Vector is this one, and in contrast, energy, volume, mass are scalars. So can anybody tell me that the difference between vector and scalar? You can type it in the box, or you can say it loud, either in Chinese or English. It's okay. You can type it in the box, or you can say it either in Chinese or English. It's fine.
有没有方向性?
Good. Good. So vector has direction. Of course, in plain English, this one means direction, but as I've just mentioned, in this book, it is divided into two things. One is line of action, and it has also something called sense. Whether it is on a certain line, whether it's on this direction or and the opposite direction. Okay, this one is called one sense, and this is called another sense. Besides direction, of course it also has magnitude. Magnitude, that this word we have met this word half an hour ago. Is here. Is here. Magnitude. So it as a force has magnitude, and it has direction. In plain English, it is in the plain English means the English you learned in English class. Okay, so it is direction, but in technical English, it is it means these two. It means these two things. This one is scalar. So, of course, that I'm confident. I'm confident you are good at dealing with or working with vectors. But I want to remind you how to write these vectors in answers. First of all, that let me give you two examples. This one is x direction, and this one is y direction. And then we have our first vector f. Then, for example, we have 20 degrees here. Of course, one way of writing this vector is using I, and j. So, does anybody know this? I should write it like this. Has anybody seen these two vectors, I, j to x and y direction? Who has seen this? Who has seen this at high school? Can you raise your hand? Good. Okay, thank you. And so, to me, I am fine with. I am fine. I'm okay. I accept, or I'm okay with you writing I and j. But as far as I know, some universities think this is not okay. I don't know why, but they think it is not good enough. I don't know why, but so they want you to write it in the standard way. In a standard way that you can find it on the textbook. So And of course, in my course, you can write it. You can either write it in the way I'm going to write, or you use ing. Either is good. So for f, that the magnitude of f as a vector is you write plain f without the arrow. Okay, this one is called arrow. Then we mark the direction of the force like this, 20 degrees towards 20 degrees going up. Okay. So the magnitude of this force is F, and then because it is 20 degrees going up, so we mark this vector. So the next one is vector G. And then this one is has 10 degrees. So vector G equals to G. And some of you may say, oh, that is 10 degrees downwards, that you can say it means we have 350 degrees the other side, right? But the more direct way of writing this is like this, 10 degrees. Then we come to the third example. One extra example. Then we have vector H, and this is like 15 degrees. So there are two ways of writing it. Of course, you can write and like this, or you can simply write like this. So we try to limit this to within 45 degrees. So this is the standard way, or the standard way of marking vectors in this course. Some professors at other universities only accept this way. I accept either using this kind of notation or using ing. I am fine with either. It's okay. If you have finished copying, then please raise your hand. So are the others okay, or having any problems? Of course, you can always say always speak out your problems, or not problems, the things you want to say in Chinese. I will not process the video in the to mark it out, but I will do it later on. So I assume most of you are okay. Then let me lower all the hands. And so we have next we have that addition of vectors. So we have we have a negative vector. We have when we have any force F going towards going upwards towards the right. Of course, we have another vector going downwards towards the left. We can say this is minus F. We have another force. We have another force here, G. So if you does it equals to minus F? Does it equal to minus F? So if you let's see, and if you think that this one is equal to minus F, that you raise your hand. Some people, let's see. Okay, yeah, thanks for hands. And let me lower the hands. So it's like this. If we have, for example, let me cross it out. If you have one force going this way, going upwards towards the right, and one force go towards the left, like this. Let me have something here. Oh, right, my alcohol bottle. So if we have one force going towards the right, going upwards like this, and one force going downwards like this, what will happen? This one will rotate. It will rotate. So this force vector G does not equal to. Be careful that this does not equal to minus F. So the two force are negative vector only if they cancel out. If they can cancel out each other, they can cancel each other. That they are along the same line. This one is very important. So these two forces are we call them F and minus F only when they are on the same line. If they are on different lines, that we cannot call them negative vector. If you are fine with this, that can you raise your hand? Okay, thank you. And I will lower the hands. Options. So, and Next one, we come to how to add the vectors as addition of vectors. Oh, by the way, if you have a problem understanding my English, or I'm not speaking or I'm not writing clear enough, that you can always say it out, or you can let the TA know. Is that okay? You can always let the TA know if you don't understand my English. For example, even after watching my YouTube or during the class, or I'm not writing clear enough. Let me tell you one story after the recording session ends. I'll tell you one story quite about me and my classmate and our professor back when I was a student. Okay, and let's go ahead, and so we want to do P plus Q, P plus Q. So how do we do it usually? Can anyone write it down or say it out? Of course, you can do it in Chinese. If we have a P, vector P, and then we have vector Q, for example. How do we add these two vectors together? Anybody having any idea? You can. Okay. Drawing diagram. So how to draw them? Can you explain it? Can you?
用那个虚线嘛，就是平行线法。
Okay, good. Okay, so and thank you. And so this one is what you mentioned is the first one, is that we have this one, we draw some lines, right? And then we have we put Q here, and then so something like that. Oh. So this is called parallelogram law. This one is the fundamental. This is the definition. Okay, this is the definition. This is the definition. But of course, the second thing is called of course, sometimes we are lazy. Of course, I'm lazy. I don't want to use a parallelogram. I would use a triangle. I would put in a triangle with one following the other. That we have a triangle rule. Triangle rule. Okay, so just to recall your memory after the summer break, after the summer holiday. So I'm sure you know the words in Chinese, or at least you have seen them. Is that okay? So anybody anybody needing some more minutes to copy this down? Can you raise your hand? Okay, so I'll give you a bit more time to write this down. So because I can't see you in person, so I usually I would like to see some raised hands if I ask questions. So it will help me to know, knowing that at least you are in front of the computer. Are you fine with this? Are you fine with this page? So additional factors. If you are fine, that please. So let's try a different. You can give a you can raise your hand and let me know if you're okay with this page. So, okay, thank you. Thanks for pressing the button. Thanks for pressing the button. So I let me lower the hands, and so we come to the first problem. For these sample problems, that if I draw the figure, that please draw it with me. Please draw it with me. So, and in this sample problem, two forces P and Q act on both A. Determine the resultant. So so it comes. So now it has there are so many words that we are not familiar with, right? So let's sort them out before we go ahead. Let's sort out the words we don't know. Both is this one. If you haven't seen one, let me find one for you. Where is it? Okay, right. This way. Okay. This way. Boat. Oh. This is a boat. So it has screws on it. This is a boat. Resultant is resultants. We have met this, and determine. Some people will say will speak it determine. I'm not sure, but I usually pronounce it as determine. Determine means finding it out or calculate. It's okay for all the questions. If you see it, if you see this word in your future quizzes, examination, or test, it means that you need to find this thing. You need to find this thing. So okay. So when you go to read your to see your homework, or in the quizzes or in the examinations, go to find this word and you know what you should do. So in solving these problems, we strongly I strongly suggesting you draw the diagram first. So we have two forces, P and Q. P is 40 newtons, Q is 60 newtons. And then determine the resultant. So both A is at point A. So we have two forces. One is 40 newtons. P is 40 newtons. And then the second one is this is with 20 degrees, and this one is with 25 degrees. This one is Q. Try writing. Try drawing bigger figures. Try drawing bigger figures, and that bigger figures help you do your mark. Help you solving the problems easier. So after you finish drawing the figure, let me know. I'm asking you to draw it down, and at least you don't, if you are not printing my notes out, at least you find a piece of blank paper and try drawing things down. Okay. Try drawing things on a piece of paper, or draw it on your tablet computer. I do not be too lazy and just capture the screen. Okay. Do not be too lazy and just capture the screen. Go to draw it down, or go draw it down one way or the other. Okay. If you have finished drawing the figure, raise your hand and hold it there, and let me have a look. So, okay, I see 45 hands, something like that. Okay. 40. So the others, okay, I've seen about 50 hands, and so I'll give a bit more time. Please draw it down. So I assume, wait, so let me see. So the others okay, or if I are the others fine, because I see some of you haven't raised your hand. So do you need a couple of more minutes? Because I can see you, so yeah, please let me know if you are fine or not. It's okay for me to go slower, especially for drawing these graphs. Actually, for in the past years that I give a lot of time on you drawing on your seniors to draw figures. So I assume most of you are all right with this. So thanks for hands. That let me lower all the hands. Thanks. Is it okay? Any of you have problems with this figure. So and the next one, that after drawing the figure, that we go on with our calculation. The first thing is what we are determined, what do we need to find is in this problem. What do we need to find in this problem is the resultant, this one, this one. So the easiest thing to do is to say this, that the resultant BR so we give a name to the unknown, right? We give a name to the unknown. So when we solve problems, we say let be a symbol, be something. Let's be something. So we are using this time we use the triangle rule to solve the problem. Let's say by using, I'll give you time to write it down or to copy this after we draw the next figure. So we have so we are using, we put two vectors, one in front of the other. We have put P and then put Q here because we have P and then we have Q, and then so let's have it like this. Wait a minute. Then we have so we have P here, and then we have Q here, and then 20 degrees here and 25 degrees here. So the unknown R is here. Oh, sorry. I think I should put P here. And then we write down the magnitudes of the forces here as well. Please take some time to copy this down, and I'll give you time. So Does anybody finish copying the figures and the notes? Please raise your hand. For the others, please take your time to copy the notes. So is anybody saying anything, or I? So for those who have finished copying the figure, so how should we determine R? How can we get R here? How can we get R here? You can think about it and then say it, and of course either in Chinese or English, and or type it in the message box if you want. Anybody have any idea how to determine R here? We have a First of all, we have a triangle, right? First of all, we have a triangle, and then we know the two sides, and we know these two angles. It seems that it's not that difficult, right? How? Oh, good. Okay. Good. Very good. Thank you. Very good. Very good. So the first thing we use is the rule you mentioned. It is in English we say it like this. So because these two are known and this is unknown, P and Q are known, R is unknown. So we are taking this angle. So this angle we put it as we write it down. I think this should not be a problem to you. I think it should be okay. Equals to P square plus Q square minus 2PQ cosine 155 degrees. So R equals to 97.73 Newton. This one is to determine the magnitude of R. But because R is a vector, it has both a direction and both a magnitude and a direction. It has magnitude and it has direction. So anybody needs so I see more than half of the class have finished copying the figure. So then let me go on slowly and you take your time copying things down. I'm not worried about. You know what worry about means, right? I'm not worried about your mathematics. You are good at maths. You are good at calculations. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about your maths. So, but take your time to copy figures well. Is that okay? Or not worried about, or I'm confident. Okay. About your maths. Okay. So I'm not worried about those things. So you can do it. You can do this. And so the next thing we want to know is the direction of R. The direction of R is this angle. So it has the 20 degrees here and it has the alpha here. So to determine alpha, we use another rule that you have learned. So alpha equals to 15.04 degrees. So let me lower all the hands. So we know, so we determine the magnitude. Magnitude is the size of R. And we know we have determined the angle alpha. So we can write down R. R is equal to this one. R is equal to this one. If you have finished copying that, please raise your hand and let me know. Thank you. Or anybody, anyone having questions or any problems? I put an arrow on this box. When you write your quizzes, examination, or test, please write down your file. Please put a box around your final answer, okay? Please put a box around your final answer. Because sometimes your seniors write some part of calculations here and there's one part of calculation there, and then on the exam paper, on the answer book, that the mathematics goes like this, and then this one, and then here, and then here, and then here. So if you are not writing clearly enough, I can't give you marks. At least if you put a box around your answer, at least I know you are answering it correctly, that I give you the full mark. If you are not answering correctly, that I know you are getting somewhere, and I go back and see how many points I should give you. Okay. If you don't put the box around the final answer, of course, if you are writing very clearly, I am fine. But if you are not writing clearly, it depends on me whether I can understand your writing. Okay, that it is then up to me whether I understand your writing. Okay, so please do put a box around your answer. Okay. So before the end of the class, I want to. So anybody else? So for those who haven't raised your hands, are you fine with this copying this or at least understanding what I'm doing here? If you understand, please raise your hand as well. Sometimes I can see only 50 hands, and I'm a bit worried. It's my turn to be worried. Okay, thank you. And so thank you very much. I can see now 70-something hands. That good. Thank you very much. So before I do my final remarks, let me go to the next problem. And please go to if anybody have already got your textbook, can you raise your hand? Anybody have got your textbook? Anybody? Electronic form, PDF is okay, old version is okay. Have you got your textbook? So try to get it from your nearest bookshop or nearest university bookshop, and they should have this one. Okay. So, and let me I will go through this and I will go through this on Thursday. Let me see. Today is 28th. I will talk about it on the 30th. Okay, I will talk about it on Thursday. But before that, and let me give you an idea what do this mean. And a barge is pulled by two tugboats, and this one is this tugboats are this. This one is barge. And it's easier to see this in Keelung or Kaohsiung, and to having two boats pulling one thing. And then another is exerted by. Exerted by is it's also like act on, okay? But and it means because by the tugboats, it means that the tugboats give a force, okay? So are there any words that you probably don't understand? Oh, this one. Tension. Tension is. So I think you know you have got all the words here. So if you have got your book and it's on page, it's a sample problem 2.2. It should be on page 23, but let me check. Yeah, page 23. So if you, yep. Anybody having? I can hear somebody want to speak. Okay, so let me finish with let me finish my recording first, and then I'll do my